Welcome back to the drawing table, where we have chill and casual conversations about art and, of course, creating it as well. We are your hosts, Jordan Tuffin
and Ken Darmadi. And today we have a special guest with us. He's most widely known as Noax, but today we'll call him by his somewhat real name. And he's been... Right now, he's a freelance hard surface concept designer with a love for all things mechanical. He has worked on games such as Star Citizen, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and today he will be sharing how he strikes a balance between ideas, functionality, while working within the demands of AAA productions. And without further ado, let's welcome Noax, aka Alex, aka Noax, into the podcast.
Hey.
Let me switch the scene. Okay.
All right, there we go. Now
There
you're
we
on
go.
center
Oh
stage,
wow,
man.
so much pressure. Wow, so much pressure. How's it going?
Hopefully there's
How's it
not an
going?
echo in the voice.
Yeah.
But you have face reveal, man.
Dude, my face
Face
has been revealed
Yeah.
Yeah, face
many
reveal,
times.
man.
Ain't nothing special.
Apparently
Ain't
not too
nothing
many people
special.
are aware of your face reveal.
Ain't nothing special. There's echo from me.
And there's an echo from Alex.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Is it from my side or? Is it from my side or?
No, it's from
It's
my
because-
side because I'm streaming my desktop
Yeah.
audio. I think this should work now.
Testing.
Test.
Hello.
I think it should work. Let's just continue with
Alright.
the chat with the content.
Yes.
Spicy content, alright?
So you know what?
Spicy
Let's
content,
actually
right?
start things nice and easy. And I'm sure a lot of people in the audience are also wondering as well, along with myself, is that how did you actually get the name Noax?
So TLDR would be actually League of Legends. Weirdly enough, from League of Legends, playing it when I started playing it in 2009. When my original name was No Alex, and my original name was No Alex people because I would say a lot of no to people, which I still do. Somebody labeled. Somebody labeled. I used it in a game, No Alex, and I used it in a game. Once it came to art, and then once it came to my real name is quite long, and because my real name is quite long and it's hard to type in, hard to remember or hard to type in. I just stuck with No Alex, and at some point I was taken. No Alex, and at some point I was taken, and then I shortened it to No Alex. The end of the story. And seems like there's still echo. So I'm just wondering if there's still echo. So I'm just wondering if is it my side or?
No, I think it's from my side. Give me a sec.
Yeah, it's just because it's double streaming. Ken is streaming his desktop audio in order to bring me into the conversation. And by doing that, it's also double recording the Discord chat.
There's a delayed repeat on the audio. As well.
Oh man.
I'm going to keep on refreshing my stream source as well, in hopes that I'll pop back up again.
Yeah.
I'm working. Yeah, I'm working. Yeah, I'm back.
Awesome.
Finally. All right, so
There we go.
You can just disable the desktop audio and we can get things running properly.
Meanwhile, Alex is showing us his pan spinning skill.
Everybody has to have a pen spinning skill, man. If you work in this industry and you can't do that, sorry, ain't hiring you.
Dude. Well, if you're
So
judging...
that's the number one criteria.
Pretty much, man. Oh, were you saying you can't do it?
Dude, I can't do it very well. All I can do is just twiddle it between my fingers.
That's already something. That's good.
It's a start, man. All right, so time to get things started.
Yep.
And you know what? Let's take it from the top.
Wait a second. Here I'm expecting him to actually look like a salad. Nice, nice. I know the reference. I know that was my first face reveal. Good job.
Wait, what's the reference here?
I did a face reveal on Instagram ages ago, and it was a salad actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, dude, I remember that.
Yeah,
it's on your art station as well.
Oh wait, yeah, it's on the. Where for the people that don't know, I have an awesome blog which you should check out. I do face reveals, ketchup. It's loading. Yeah.
I think you're really putting that ArtStation Pro subscription to good use, man.
I know, right? Look at this, handsome as hell.
Dude, I'm looking at your blog and this is so funny.
Yeah. But yeah, that is a face reveal. Nice.
This is an actual blog instead of like an ArtStation blog.
Yeah, I need to post some new stuff there. Maybe one day.
Why don't you actually link that in the chat as well, so people actually know what we're talking about. So yeah, man, let's actually take it back to the top. So, how did you actually get into hard surface design, man? When did your love for all things mechanical actually start?
So I don't think my story is ultra unique, but I think it has an interesting sort of origin. I was born, right? And for some reason, ever since I was, I don't know, the earliest memories when I was in the kindergarten. I don't know, I was like 4 or 5. I kept drawing cars. Like I would just draw side views of cars, and I would be excited about. I'll be really excited about anything, I don't know, car or vehicle related. And I was drawing at the time, so I was already doing art. And since that time, throughout my entire life to this point, I kind of pursued not art but design. Like I always wanted to create. So I didn't get into it because I saw like awesome piece or somebody told me about it. I was like, ever since I was a baby, essentially, I remember just drawing cars, and that sort of carried into the concept art.
Was that when you designed the new Tesla truck?
Whoa! Hey, no spoilers, no spoilers. We discussed that before.
Dude,
no
I think we're jumping into that way too soon.
Yeah, that's way too soon.
Just kidding.
We'll get back to that later for sure, though.
But yeah, and that's really cool. When did you get started in the industry though? Like, how did you first know there's actually a job called concept design or concept art? Because I think most people more know it widely as illustration.
Yeah,
I personally figured out about it quite later on in my life, in my early 20s actually. That's when I first found out there was such a thing as the concept art industry.
So for me specifically, I'll have to take it a little bit back when I was still a kid, and I kept drawing. I kept drawing cars, and I wanted, like, at that point when I was in like primary school, I already knew I wanted to be a car designer. There was like no other way. Like I either become a car designer, or I don't know what's gonna happen, because like I don't know anything else other than like art, I guess, at that point. So I was like, I want to be a car designer, and it keeps going throughout my life. So like since I was in a primary school, then like middle school, and then around the age, I think 15, I've actually discovered an image. Let me see if it's still online. Can't spell Autumn Hawk. I actually saw one of the pieces from Atom Hawk where Jordan works.
Ooh.
That was like 2015. Yeah, there we go. So I was looking for references.
Before I was there, though.
Yeah, so I was looking for. I think at that point I was looking for like either like sci-fi car references. I typed something in and this image came up and I was like, oh, what is that? That doesn't look normal. Like this is strange. And at the time I still wanted to be a car designer. I was pursuing like automotive. And then I went to their website and I was like, oh, they draw fake cars? What? So that kind of excited me, and I realized at that point, like, you go for their website and you're like, oh, it's like a concept art studio, and they work on like games and film.
So that's interesting.
Do you have a link to the image, by the way?
It's Atom Hawk car. I can just
yeah, if you can just send it over our Discord chat, we will post it up into the Twitch chat. But that's interesting, man, because for a lot of artists, you might say that your story isn't too unique, but most of the artists that I had a chat to actually got into art because of a certain artist, or maybe a cartoon that they watch, or an anime, and all that they would do is draw fan art of it from a young age. And as they progressed on, then that's when they realized that, oh, there is such a job as concept art or illustration. So did you actually watch a lot of maybe mech animes from Japan when you're younger?
No,
as well, or did you only strictly draw real life cars?
I was at that point. I was drawing all sorts of stuff, but in the back of my head, my prime goal was I'm gonna become an automotive designer. Like that's the only sort of vehicle design path I saw at that point. Like I didn't know about industrial design, I didn't know about product design. I just was like, oh, automotive, sweet. I like cars, so like join them, I'll become an automotive artist. And then I saw like the image, and then I saw a bunch of other images of like fake sci-fi cars. I don't know what happened, but in my head I was like, why should I draw real cars when you can draw fake cars that look way cooler than real ones? And
right, so when you were drawing the cars as well, did you try, when you're younger, did you actually add on anything extra to make it like extra cool or fantastical, or was it like strictly from like reference?
Yeah, it wasn't strictly from a reference, but if you look up like how automotive design process goes, where you like do like these beautiful car sketches, it was that. Like I would obviously try and create my own forms for the vehicle, but it wasn't like I'm gonna put a gun on it, I'm gonna attach wings, landing gear. It wasn't like that.
Dude, that's what like all kids do. Your story isn't like that like common at all. You're like
no, because I'm
from a lot of the people that
I was like dead focused on like automotive design. I'm like, I just gonna be automotive artist, and then I saw concept art, and I was like, well, let me try and do like some fake cars. And then I learned that there is an industry for that, and I think around that time I was like 16, and I immediately asked my parents to get me a tablet. They got me a tablet, and since then I've been doing sort of, I guess, digital concept art design stuff.
And this was back in what, 2015 you said?
So I was I was 16 years old, so that was like 2011, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So you guys can actually calculate Alex's age.
I'm 25. You don't need to calculate.
Damn. Some people are very secretive about it, man. Like they really want to keep their age a secret, you know? It's like their secret weapon or something.
No.
It's like, you know, when people put on their Instagram page, it's like, oh, you know, an artist, self-taught, 19 years old.
Yeah,
that's lots of people.
Yeah, dude.
That went to these expensive art schools will be like, oh, he's so good and he's so young and he's self-taught too.
Sometimes being young in this industry doesn't mean you're good.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it definitely can be a like intimidating aura, you know, that you have.
I think it's intimidating for people who start out. But for people who actually work or like in a position where they hire, like let's say art directors, studios, they will look at you and be like, oh, you're 19, so you probably don't have that much experience. Your work might be amazing, but there's a difference between amazing work and actually knowing how production or how the industry works.
Definitely, man. But that's the thing, not very many people actually know that there's more to raw skill in itself.
Yeah.
And What was your first job in the industry?
On Star Citizen. That was my first, I guess, studio job.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Like,
See, it's not like any other people.
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's like
Your story is pretty good.
I'm just like everyone else, you know, working in a AAA studio in my first job.
Yeah, that was a lot of, that was a bit of luck, because so I was preparing. I was still in college here in UK. Well, not university college, but like pre-university college. It's different in UK than in America. It's like a high school almost. I don't know how to explain. Doesn't matter. So I was doing graphic design, and I was on my technically a first year of university, but I wasn't doing it in the university because that way it's cheaper. And then you can just jump into the second or third year of university. It's like a little hack that you can do if you know how to do it.
Right.
And then I was working on my portfolio, and then I went to the industry workshops. That was cool. And then after that, I went to another industry workshops demo day in 2016, where I met Jort. You guys know Jort? Jort van Velbinger.
Oh, Jort, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He saw my portfolio. That was cool. I went home, and I think once I finished and published portfolio, like the art director at CIG saw it, or Jort showed it to him. So basically, I got into the studio through the recommendation because I knew Jort. So that was a huge advantage.
That's awesome.
Otherwise,
a lot, like just cut through all of the layers and like helping you rise to the top, you know. Rather than having to sift through the pile of applicants.
Because you will all, and I understand that now, because you will always hire or recommend people that you personally know first, and then once you don't know anybody, you're gonna go through the masses, which is just how this stuff works. So I was lucky in that regard. It wasn't planned, because when I was hired, I didn't know what Star Citizen is. So I was like, oh, you guys need some like design. I need money. Cool. Let's help each other out. Yeah.
Wait, so your stuff in your portfolio happened to be what they're working for, or they just saw raw potential in you and they could see it as this like clay that they could mold into their needs?
I don't know exactly. Maybe. Or maybe it most likely it was much colder than that, most likely. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how business works. They probably needed somebody to do like hard surface stuff. And at that point, it was props. Like most junior guys start on props. And it so happened that I knew they needed 3D skill. That's one thing that sort of, I guess, pushed me ahead, is that I was working in 3D. So they needed somebody who can do hard surface in 3D. And I came along and they were like, we need it right now, so we're gonna hire him straight away because like time is money. So it's a good time, and also I was in UK already, so that was a big plus because there's no visa requirements and I can just go from London to Manchester and I'm in. Super simple.
Right, so it's kind of like all the stars just happen to align in the right place.
Yeah. It wasn't. I had one other opportunity, I think, at that point, but I didn't go for it because I went with CIG because that was just easier, and that's it. So big thanks to the art director who hired me. So
that would be Ian.
No, Paul Jones. He was my boss throughout my entire time. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I only met Ian, so I only know him really.
Yeah.
So what were your expectations, man, going into a studio job as big as CIG from the get-go? As someone that started off with like no experience before.
At that point, I already knew how the industry works, or at least I thought I knew how it works. And
yeah, that's
like
the thing, right? We have these expectations.
Yeah,
you have like the expectations, like, oh, this is how stuff works. Like you come in, they give you tasks, you do like variations, whatever, sketches, and it happened to be actually exactly that. It wasn't like a massive shock where you come in and they ask you to disassemble a nuclear reactor or something. It was fairly simple. It's like, hey, we need some barriers. Can you design some barriers? I'm like, sure, I can design barriers. And then we design a barrier, and then they're like, sweet. Can you design another thing? And you sort of just move on. I don't think joining studio is. I mean, it's hard to probably find a studio job, but once you're in there, it's not that difficult. Like if you're not doing anything strange, or you're not like, I don't know, jumping on desks, you're probably gonna be fine. For like beginner or junior artists, it's a fairly straightforward process. You come in, they give you a task, you do it. It gets difficult later on if you want to sort of like start climbing the corporate ladder and dealing with other stuff within the company. But the beginning in the studio is actually really, really good. I liked it. Yeah.
I see.
But right now you're just freelancing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sitting at home. It's pretty good.
And do you, kind of out of topic or a segue to that, but do you prefer freelancing or full time now that you're freelancing?
I don't know. I haven't done freelance for that long yet. I've only been at home for like 4 weeks. Yeah, so I can't really answer it yet.
Okay.
It's definitely different. A lot more stuff to take care of. Like in the studio, it's nice being in the studio because you don't have to worry about quite literally anything. If you're on time with your tasks and you do them well, then your life is just like a normal life where you come in, you do your stuff, you go home, you have your paycheck. But with freelance, it's more managing, not just managing work, but managing yourself. Like not wasting time, doing the right thing, because you can do a wrong thing very easily. So there's that. I don't know. For now, I'm fine. I kind of enjoy the extra time to do my own thing rather than work for somebody else.
And you don't have to worry about being too lonely since you have your penguin friend over there in the background.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Satisfy all of your needs.
Whoa. What are you trying to say, huh? What are you trying to say, Jordan?
Nothing, man. Nothing.
I have no idea what you're talking about, man.
All right,
so a question. Let's get back to production stuff. Questions about production.
Just so we don't go away too far from the course of the conversation.
We're starting to stray too far.
Into the weird territory.
That was Jordan. That was Jordan. That was not me. I'm just a disclaimer. I'm very professional.
It's always Jordan, man.
I know. Sorry, guys. I'll hold it in for now. I'll keep it in for later.
But yeah, you mentioned about life in a studio being quite simple. Like you go in, you get a brief, and then you work on it. How do you say you get a new brief?
Yeah.
Right? Like how do you start planning to work on it, to tackle the problems and coming up with solutions that pertains to the gameplay space or technicalities? How do you start doing that?
Well, first we'll need to clarify exactly what you work on, because let's say if somebody gives me like, okay, my very first task was to design a barrier. That was it. Like it was a modular set of barriers, and the requirements were super simple. It has to be like 125 centimeters high. I think it was like a meter and a half long or something like that. So I already had like a dimensions, and it was more like a skinning job, like make a square and make it cool. So in that regard, it's very straightforward. You just do a bunch of variations. Something gets approved, something doesn't. You get feedback, you implement feedback, and then you finalize it. But if you have something more complex, like a vehicle, or like a gun, or like even environments, like architecture, that can have like I guess different approach. For vehicles, we have sort of 4-stage workflow where you have sketches, development 1, development 2, I think development 3, and marketing art. Also, it's like five stages. and in between each stage you have a review with the art directors and like the rest of the team. And while you work on each stage, you can just pull the art director over and you can just jam ideas or discuss it with your teammates or whoever else you need. But on like it's at CAG on vehicles, the process was, or I should say is, a bit more. It's very structured. Like there are very set deadlines. You have like very strict deadlines on when you have to finish certain thing, and then after that you have a review and hope it's all good. And if it's not good, then you just cry, and or you work overtime. No, I never done overtime. Yeah. I don't know, like this it's easy. This question is easy answered if you have like an actual example of something to.
Do
like,
you have an actual example though, just so that we can show the chat some examples of your work as well if they're not familiar with it?
I have one of the ships that I've done, but I can't show like the progress. Like I can't show.
Not a problem. You can just show the end result, just so that there's at least something visually for the chat to have an idea of what we're rambling on about.
Yeah, but like designing something like this for like a game, like for example Star Citizen.
Oh, can you switch it over, please?
Oh, right. Hold on. This one?
Just switch it over to Alex's screen share.
Yeah. Is it working?
I don't know.
Nothing has changed yet.
Because it says the screen and the webcam is inactive. So... Oh, crap.
Somebody even writes in Russian. Nice.
You can read it out if you like.
Okay.
I
think this should work.
Hey, there we go. Nice. I think.
Okay.
Alex, say something.
Hello.
All right, it's working now.
Yep,
there.
It works.
I think it's better. Okay, so sorry to have you repeat what you just said, but would you mind going back from the top, man?
So let's say we're designing this for mobile game. It would be very straightforward because there's not much, and if there's not many requirements, like let's say we just need to look cool and you pilot it like a third-person view, and you never see inside or you never walk around it. That's fine. Just do a very standard concept art workflow where you make it look cool, and then the 3D modelers figure the rest of it out, I guess. But
I see.
When we were working on this and like the other ships at CAG, it's a huge team effort, and it's a very big time commitment to design these things because you don't approach them as a concept art really. You approach it almost. I wouldn't say like an engineer, but you need to make sure stuff works. So when we started on this guy, instead of starting like with like, oh, what is the cool sketch? Like we would do, the first round is always ignore all the functionality. We do just something that looks cool. Then we review that and we see like, okay, this idea is cool, that idea is cool. And then we actually, let me open a Photoshop, because some of the sketches for this guy have been released by CAG on their YouTube channel. So if somebody really interested in the process, there is a whole process documented. I'll just do a quick quick sketch, I guess, to iterate my point.
Yep. How's the process like typically in CIG? For example, when they give you a brief, do they specify the shape language, or are they kind of loose with everything, with the description?
So the brief is normally you get like a page of technical specifications, so preferred size. It has the amount of components, so like engines, and those are physical components that have to fit into the ship. So you have like engines, power plants, shield generators, computers. you have beds, you have toilets, and all of that is physical. It's not just somebody writing it on the page like, oh, it would be cool to have like 5 engines. If it says 5 engines, you have to
toilets
or 5 toilets, you have to put it in. So you would get the specifics.
Is that actually related to the asset that they already have?
It can, yes.
Like, I mean, okay.
So like we already have like in game, there is a plenty of like power plants and stuff, and they all have a certain metrics to them. And most of the time it's just the case of like, okay, the engine would be, I don't know, 1 meter by 2 by 1 meter, and you just need and you need to find enough space in the ship to put it in. But you can't just put it in where you have free space. Like let's say this is the ship. Actually, no, let me just do a better job. I'll just sketch out the vulture from above quickly.
So this is the same process that you used when actually creating the vulture from the start.
Well, not really. It gets strict a bit later on, but at the beginning we would do like a bunch of sketches, just like jam together and figure out what would be cool, and then we sort of bring it to the more functional level. So at the beginning you can do. I remember one of the versions was, if you look from the side view, like right now, the side view of the ship is sort of like that. Like you have the arm, you have the cockpit, the antenna, the cargo module. But one of the versions originally was it had this massive negative space here, so the engine would be at the top. And then you have the cockpit here. So we experimented with a lot of like different shapes, but for example, for this guy, right? This guy, there was already a massive problem with that design, and I'm just gonna, you know what, let's go into 3D. Like doing this stuff in 2D, it's not good. Because
dude, you're probably so fast at 3D that you can do it much faster than 2D sketching.
Actually, this will also show, I guess, why 3D is required for that. Because you can already see
we'll get into that chat, man, for sure.
You can already see how it becomes difficult to explain certain ideas in 2D or like 2 dimensions. And it's even more difficult when you're in a studio and you need to present that information super fast and people need to understand it. So let me just block out the first guy. So, okay. So this was one variant. They wanted for this guy, we just wanted this very strong silhouette. So you have this massive overhang, something quite different from, like, let's say, the other ships. Just put it to the side. And then the final version, and there were many other versions in between, but I'm just going to show these to us. It's the most obvious one. Why does it look the way it looks? Also, to answer, there was another question, like what is the style specification? So for this ship specifically, the manufacturer was already kind of established, and so the reason why it looks like this is because the reason why it looks like that is because Drake as a manufacturer was already established by Gary Sanchez that I was working with before. And you can see the arms, the yellow color, it's all part of the manufacturer. So I had to translate that into the ship. So that's why it looks like that. It's because of this guy. Like you can see like this design language translating. So we had let's say you do like a bunch of sketches. You figure out like, oh, you know what, like this silhouette, like this side view silhouette, that would be super cool. This is awesome. Let's go with this idea. This is, everybody signs off and we go with this idea, and then they start working with it, and I have my requirements. And let's say this is the cockpit suite, this is the living area, or let's do this one. This is the living area. This guy in between, that is a grinder. So what happens on the ship is this part here, like you can see it in the marketing shot. It cuts up pieces and then it goes inside of the belly and it processes the metal for you. So it's like it's a salvaging ship. So the space underneath the pilot, it had to be occupied by the salvaging, and then the reason the pilot is located where it is, it's so you have the full view of what you're doing. And so we were working on this guy, and then it needs a cargo spot. So the idea was that the cargo will be here. And once you block the ship out, you can already kind of see the problem of having cargo so high up. Like what
would that be?
So let's say, let me take this person reality size. So this is the cabin. Let's say this is the little person.
It's a very wide person.
He likes to eat.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I'm glad that you took that into consideration, man.
So you can see the ship is pretty big already, and the cargo module normally has a certain size that design requires. Let's say it's gonna be like, I don't know, like 5 by 4 meters, whatever. We measured it in cubic SEUs, but that doesn't matter. So now we have the cargo up here, and you're like, how do I get into the cargo? Because you need to unload the cargo, and the way you unload the cargo, you pick it up and you like move it out of the ship. And like having this cargo module so high up just created a lot of headache, where one of the variants was, oh, maybe the whole platform kind of moves down, or maybe the whole cargo module moves down. But then it became, I think, if I remember correctly, it was just like too much movement for no reason. And and the natural design solution was to just move the thing down. That's it. Like now the cargo is down.
So at so at that point, it just became too much form instead of function, where it introduced a lot of unnecessary difficulties for all of the production.
Yes. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like form versus function or function versus form, because we try to strike a balance. But some decisions are like, okay, does it really matter if it's here or here? Like visually, to me, it didn't really matter. I actually prefer like the final version because it's a better balance. And also it solved a practical problem of like not having a cargo bay 3 meters off the floor, because you can walk around the entire ship and you can like come to every panel and climb in onto everything, and having cargo there just doesn't make practical sense.
I see.
I think that's the coolest part about Star Citizen, is that all of the spaceships are an actual space that you can enter and exit, and everything's connected properly.
Yes. And
just can't imagine designing something like that.
And then what else on this thing? So like the way you enter the cabin actually was something I had to fight for, where you like climb onto the arm, and then you like hop onto the ship. So it was the experience of climbing like a tractor or something.
Yeah.
And
did you look at references of like caterpillars?
There was
the
insects, right?
No.
I'm kidding.
Actually, yes.
I don't remember exact name, but this was the main reference for There's some parts like you can see, like this part here, like this round arm. It's actually translated into, like it's here holding one of the arms.
I see.
And originally the ship had to be white, like this soil stabilizer color, but then we decided to put into yellows to keep in line with the manufacturing.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of references like this guy. It's a great machine. It's very nice.
So at which stage does the reference come in? Does it actually come in before you do these sketches, or does it actually come in afterwards, more as a gap filler for all of the missing information that you had?
So my rule of thumb is reference should always be there, no matter what you do. You can do like the simplest sketch, or you can do the most complex things. You always should have or strive to find references. At least that's what I do. And sometimes sometimes it can be healthy and unhealthy. It can be healthy because you always have something to look up to. Unhealthy is when, let's say, I had some personal work where I would be 80% done, and then I find a really cool reference that I want to implement, and then I would have to rework half of the design because of that reference. So that can be unhealthy in a production, because you might show an awesome reference to your art director when the thing is almost done, and they will be like, can we implement it now? And you're like, no. But generally, I always try to have some sort of reference at any stage, even if it's a line art sketch, because a lot of the things, right? So let me try and find.
Oh, and by the way, Alex, Mean Goreng is in the chat, and he's requested the link to the image search that you had for the vehicle.
Yeah. Oh, hello. I'm a big fan of his work, so.
That's awesome. And I'll actually read out a few comments in the chat if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
There's a Russian comment which I can't read, so
it says
I'm not gonna do that.
No.
Sorry.
It was when the something was not working, and he says, "What's wrong, boys?"
Oh, I see.
Oh,
yeah. Some of these comments in the chat are a little bit older.
Yeah.
But I'll still read it out anyways. Blessings of the Night said, due to the sheer awesomeness of the artwork, it seems that stream sound has done an oopsie. So that was when the sound cut off. And Mean Goreng also commented on your vulture and said that thing is fucking beautiful.
Thank you.
And AVR also said wipeout vibe. I'm guessing also in relation to a vehicle.
Yes.
And sorry, Kay, you've missed the face reveal as well. But I think it might come back after this, so stay tuned.
Yeah, but going back to the reference, and when I was in the studio, I would always stress to everybody, like, if you don't use reference in the studio and I see it, I will go full Nazi on you, because if you look at this thing, like even this is a high resolution image. Anyway, a lot of this stuff you just cannot imagine. You will never imagine it because you don't know it. You just don't see it. That's it. Like, you can come up with some random shapes and maybe you'll hit something, but it's much faster, in my opinion. Grab a reference and like reverse engineer it. Everything has been designed. We just need to change it a little bit to our needs. So I always have a reference. Even if I know what I'm doing, I still reference the same thing over and over and over again.
I guess until it's ingrained, right, in your memory.
Even if it's ingrained, you will still find something new. Like, you can, you can just flip it upside down and maybe take like this part out, take this part out. You can just. I try to mix like drawing, like line art and photo bashing, because there are advantages to both. But for example, in this case, boom, we have like a nice starting point for a panel. Then we can just paint that thing out because we don't need it. Then we can.
That's beautiful.
Extend like quickly this guy. Then we move this guy here, and we already, like, I can already see like a back of the maybe Ghost in the Shell garbage truck. So we can take like line art and we can start, let's say, drawing the back truck part in. Maybe that's where you put your rubbish, and then we like add the cabin, wheels. You know what I mean? Like it can, like, a simple photo can spark an idea.
Yep.
So that's why.
For sure, man.
That's why you should be using references.
I think, in a sense, that this is where both you and Sheng share a similar kind of philosophy when it comes to the usage of reference, where even a simple change of point of view, maybe of the reference, can generate a whole new idea.
Oh, totally. And I'm about to see if I can find something interesting, because you can find stuff that you never thought would even exist. Like, there's so many cool things on the planet, and not chasing them, I think it's a crime. Like, everybody should have like a massive folder of just random references.
So that's actually one of the questions that I had for Sheng as well, is that how the hell do you find all of these like weird and crazy references?
So that's something. So easy way is just Google. That's like simple answer. Just Google whatever, anything. But the problem with Googling stuff is you only Google what you know. Like, if you don't know something, you're not gonna Google it. Like the soil stabilizer. Nobody's gonna Google a soil stabilizer, because what the hell is a soil stabilizer?
That's what I Google up every day, man.
But so like I shared the similar system with Robin Baumister, who I worked with at CIG, and he had this folder called Mornings. So every morning he comes in and he opens his folder. For me, I have like a general design link, and here I have a bunch of stuff like it's Tumblr links, like any like design websites. I have a bunch of like I try to not actually look for specific stuff. I just can open, like, I don't know, Tumblr if it loads up. Sorry, my internet is just not good.
No worries, dude.
It's like one of those accounts that just compiles a list of images that are cool.
Yeah. Like, for example, the Spaces website, they have like a bunch of, like, I'm really into interior design or any architecture stuff. So like here we go. We open it and we instantly have like a bunch of interesting stuff. That, like, how would you Google something? Oh, come on, doesn't matter. Like, you can see it here in the corner. Like, how would you Google that? You don't know what it's called. You've never seen it. So having some sort of a system where you compile, like, Tumblr's, Pinterest is fantastic for that.
Oh, what? That's crazy. I could use one of those.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So like I have like
because that's something.
No, go on.
Go on. Sorry.
Like, I have.
I was just gonna say is that this is the problem with delay with the internet. Anyways, you take the center stage, man. Go ahead. I'll say my piece later.
But yeah, like, I have two, which is one is general design and the other one is more focused on hard surface. So in general, like, I'm very, very into architecture, and like, I found not long ago this walking in Danchi Tumblr randomly. It was just randomly suggested on Tumblr, and it's some guy who goes around Tokyo and he photographs the Japanese apartment complexes.
So cool.
And you can find some. Oh, come on, hold up. Man, you can find like hundreds of images of this like concrete Japanese just apartments that you see in anime or movies or whatever, and it's a great reference because you can use that as a starting base, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you take
for sure, dude.
Take it and change it into something. And then I have like specific like military references, where there's one guy who takes pictures of all of the Russian military exhibitions. So if something Russian military exists, it's on this website, and it's high res.
Damn.
Would you mind sharing all of those websites on the chat?
No, I can.
A secret?
I'm not gonna share all of them, but I can share a few. But
it's valuable ammo.
no, what I normally recommend people to do is don't take it from me. Don't take these websites from me. Just go and find and create your own system, because my system works for me. Create your own system. I don't know what you're interested in. Like maybe you're interested in like character design,
stabilizers.
Yeah.
do you know the website? Do you know the website Dark Roasted Blend by any chance? Oh, you should check it out.
Sounds like a coffee connoisseur's blog.
Somewhat.
Just post it. Just post it, man. I'll check it out.
There.
Here's actually my question then for you, Alex.
Yeah.
Since you say that we should find our own stuff and create our own system, how would someone start doing that? Can you at least give maybe some quick pointers?
Okay, so one of the best ways to do it is, number one, just create a Tumblr account and just start searching within Tumblr for something that you like. If you like, let's say, clothing, just pick a brand that you like, look for it on Tumblr, like follow a bunch of blogs that do something similar, and then Tumblr will start recommending you similar stuff. And that way you start...
Kind of works like Pinterest.
Yeah,
Pinterest has shitty low quality images.
That's right. There we go. That's the same problem. Pinterest works exactly the same way. Or in general, just be curious, because you can find, sometimes I will find like I follow a bunch of construction channels on YouTube, for example, and they would mention like an airport or something. Like recently it was the oh god, is it in Beijing, the new Zaha Hadid airport?
Oh yeah, the new one.
Yeah, and then I googled the images.
Design.
Yeah, and then I googled the images of that airport, and I clicked on one of the images. It took me to a certain website, and that website had more stuff. And you go down the rabbit hole and you start building the system. Just make sure you bookmark everything you like.
That's the scary part, though.
Why?
I think
it's the rabbit hole, man.
Yeah, well, just do it like Robin does. Robin does it in the morning. He spends like 30 minutes every morning to look for references. Like his reference library is OP. It's really good. And also,
do you save the images locally?
Yes. I just have like a folder open of, like, I'm gonna open a bunch of stuff. Like this image specifically, I took it from Robin. I don't know where he found it. It's somewhere in Eastern Europe. But look at this structure. That is so cool. Like you can turn it into like you can make it into a church. Maybe it's like a whole art direction for a new type of city. Like imagine the whole city is built on that.
It's like something straight out of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Or
Cyber Pyramid. I don't know. Sorry. Go
on. No. It's cool. I'm just trying to look for like.
Do you know Skyscraper City?
Yes, Skyscraper. Yeah, it's like a forum. It's very hard to navigate.
Yeah, but it's really good website or a good forum if you're into architecture.
Because I tried using it, but it's so hard. It's not an image board. It's a forum, so it's hard to find stuff or it's hard to navigate. So I tried to stay away from that. I'm trying to see. Oh, here is I think this one is from Sheng. Sheng found it, and we just share it. It's a dump truck, but it's like electrically powered, like a train. Like how cool is that?
Damn.
Right? Like you don't see that stuff. It's or I have like stuff like
that is awesome though.
Like pictures of gardens from above. It doesn't have to be hard surface necessarily. I have like which one? There was like I don't know, high-res pics of like military gear. That's like UK counterterrorism, special forces, and you can pick a lot of stuff from that. You just have to be
man.
you have to be curious. Like curiosity, I think it's the most important skill in this industry.
In a way, I'm afraid to be too curious because, like, especially when you find a gold mine or treasure trove or reference, like it can send me down like hours and hours of browsing, and it never stops.
No, that's why you have a system where you sort of stop yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, man.
Yeah.
But man, like looking at all these references, I have like severe FOMO now of like references.
Yeah.
I think it's a skill that's rarely talked about, you know.
You have to develop it yourself. Like, for example, there we go. I have like this thing right here. It's like a ring that holds the antenna, and I can instantly see how I can implement it on like the space elevator I'm building. Maybe like I can reference that ring for this guy here, and that way I sort of carry on working. Like there's a lot of cool mechanisms that I probably wouldn't be able to design myself because I just never seen them. So you gotta have those systems in place.
So for the details that you're putting onto the space elevator, I'm noticing that's a little bit different from the reference. So is that your interpretation, or did you like take another reference to kind of like combine it together to get what you have now? Like, what is your process of developing a design?
So for this guy specifically, the goal is, I guess, not to design a space elevator, but it's gonna be a frame where you can kind of see it from afar, like this. So I don't need to go into the details. So all I'm caring about is sort of like a strong silhouette or like an interesting silhouette. And I'm not really bothered with functionality, whether it works or not. And I try to utilize some basic art tools like repeating stuff only 3 times instead of 4, so it's not symmetrical. Like keeping, I don't know, like balancing shapes and proportions. I don't know exactly how to explain it. It's just you use your fundamentals, and then you try and create something cool. Like for example, having. I can't select it because it's an instance. But anyway, if you look at it from above, like shapes like that, they're always interesting. It's like a default thing. Like you have a circle with 3 things coming out, and then you can start like expanding it. It just, for some reason, it just works, and I know it works, so I use it. And then for the cables, I take a little bit more freedom. There is no need, for example. Actually, I don't think there is need for these cables at all because they would kind of drag the thing down, but I added them because it looks cool. Like these guys, they don't need to be there, or at least this guy doesn't need to be there. But I added because it's cool. Same with like this system here. Doesn't really make sense, but whatever. Man. Looks nice. Don't care.
Yeah, for sure. So how would you actually approach designs differently if you were approaching one from a form point of view, like just cool shapes versus functionality? Would your approach be any different?
Not really, because I generally just start, like sometimes certain designs I just do it straight in 3D. I don't do any sketching at all. I'm just like, I'll just build it if I'm lazy or something, and I just build a thing. And in the process, I make sure it works. Other times, I would start with the sketch. If I need a stronger form, for example, I like to explore forms in 3D. Like it's good to like we can. Let's try this thing here. Like okay, we can start. Because now we can start with the sphere. Contour spheres, embarrassing. Start with the sphere, maybe it has like an eye, like a Death Star thing. Right, and then we like, maybe that thing has like something going around it. Like we can start exploring sketches that way. Like for example, like Shang does, he only does that in 2D. So I don't know what that is, but I'm just jamming. Maybe it has an antenna. Maybe it's a space station. Maybe this is like a docking entrance. Blah blah blah. Cool, sweet. But
it's a flying Pokeball.
It's like a lollipop with the collar. Or maybe we can like start design. I like doing like side view sketches. So maybe this is the cockpit. Let's say it's a ship, and it's like more like Machine and Krieger inspired. So it would have some like weird wings and like a single engine. You have like a mini fighter with like it has like a refueling boom, so you can refuel it mid-flight. It has like a little baby one. There's like a dude. There's a second dude. So we can approach it that way. Like proportions don't work, but I like to do stuff in 3D just because it is slightly slower. But I can see shapes better in 3D because that's how world works. Let me just grab something.
How often do you switch to 2D then? Because certain people, they take their 3D model to a certain stage and then they get stuck, and then they have to bring it to Photoshop to just do a draw over or put notes on it or whatever to continue evolving their designs. How often do you do
I
that?
switch between 2D and 3D when I need to switch between 2D and 3D. There is what's the guy's name? Anis Naim. He's a production designer in US, and he once wrote on Instagram where, oh man, I'm not gonna find it now. He put it perfectly in words where you start in 3D and then you move into 2D. No, you do a sketch in 2D, then you move into 3D as soon as possible, and then you finalize in 2D when you're tired of 3D. I'm like completely misquoting him now. I'll try and find it.
What's the name?
Anis Naim. You know what? Let me just.
Oh, Anis Naim. Yeah.
I'm just gonna pull it up on my phone.
If that's the case though, when you're tired of 3D, I'd be jumping into 2D almost like instantly.
Oh man, that guy posts a lot. Okay. Let's see.
Are you looking it up, Ken? Or is Alex?
No, I'm looking up.
Alright.
I'm trying to find it, but I'm not sure if it's a post or
it's in a post, but I just don't remember exactly. I should have written it down because those are words to live by.
No, I'll try to find it.
It's one of the posts. It's a bit older. Let me just spend like literally 5 seconds to. Oh, there you go. Draw and get the ideas down, then move into 3D as fast as you can, and then move out of 3D as fast as it makes sense. So you start. You don't have to be bound by like, oh, I work in 3D or 2D or to like the certain point. Like if it makes sense to move into 2D now, then why not? Just do it. But for example, certain stuff like these shapes would be extremely hard to do in 2D because you don't really know how they would work.
Yeah.
So we have this guy, and now we can maybe extend it.
I can see why you sketch in 3D though, you're so damn fast.
So maybe this guy. Just take this tree. This is like maybe the spaceship or whatever that is, I don't know yet. Maybe it's organic and it's this is like the spine of the thing. Oh, there we go, we're getting something.
And that's cool.
And
so
now,
these are like happy accidents in a way, right?
Yeah, like you just saw now, I didn't have much planning. And now I'm trying to apply some logic. So let's say I add the bridge to the ship. Let's say it's a spaceship and I add the bridge. And I'm probably gonna add it in the most traditional way. You know, if you look at one of my favorite examples Like any aircraft carrier is a gold mine for balancing. Like just balance
details.
In terms of absolutely everything, because you have like you have 70% like a main shape, 30% eye rest. Then the bridge of the ship is not positioned right in the middle; it's like offset from the center. And the same goes to like any like U.S. destroyers or any like cargo ship. The bridge can oversee sort of the deck. Like the balance is really nice. So I can apply.
For sure.
I can apply that on this guy where okay we're doing this bridge thing. Let's make it look more interesting. And now this becomes the front of the ship. This becomes the back. The thing needs some engines, so let's reuse the existing geo. Let's place like we can place them in a super unique way, or we can place them in like more traditional, so the people understand it. I'll place a placeholder.
Right. So I think that could lead to an interesting question. Is that I think it's often said that we should make a design that's unique, but at the same time keep part of it grounded in reality so that people are able to understand it. So how do you apply that principle to your work, if you do it at all?
So like we're doing it right now, where the like it's made out of bones and like random stuff, but once the people see it, for example, we can have this bridge, right? We can like maybe. Oh, that's kind of interesting actually. Let me just delete this stuff. Maybe it has maybe
really cool actually. I'm loving it.
Maybe these are like the windows, and you can see the lights through them, right? And then people can instantly associate. Oh, this is the windows with the lights. That's where the people sit. So that must be the bridge of the ship. And then if you look from the back, maybe we can keep the engines not necessarily generic, boring circular, but we'll keep the circular shape. And let me just grab this guy real quickly. Maybe we can make something. Say, so we do this.
And you actually talk about making a design interesting. And of course, the word interesting can mean so many different things for people. But can you actually talk us through what's running through your mind right now and what kind of design principles you're applying as you go along?
So right now I'm battling my 3D. So now, sorry, I'm not used to working talking at the same time. There we go. Okay.
Oh, are you trying to spin it around?
Yeah, so we're gonna have. So right now I want to keep it like circular, just so people recognize that it's an engine, because that's how like jet exhaust works. It's circular, but then I'm trying to maybe we can do something interesting, like super evil. And this stuff you probably can't do it in 2D. Oh, there you go. That's actually freaking interesting. Like this stuff, you cannot do it in 2D effectively. And this is, you can see how fast we're iterating on this guy right now. And it looks.
I feel like
it's horrible though.
I feel like you have to put on a different hat when you're in 3D.
Oh, for sure. So we have something like this. And now I can just take this guy and just
man, that's actually really nice.
Yeah.
So now it would, like, you can carry on working in 2D if you want, or like in 3D, or let's put some storage.
So how does this design make sense to you? Because going by what the quote said earlier, we should move back to 2D when it starts making sense.
Like it would kind of, I wouldn't go into 2D yet, because right now there is a lot of stuff that's not figured out. Like for example, there is a lot of empty space in the interior of this thing, and it would be really hard to fill in 2D. So it would make sense to just fill this guy up. Fill this guy up right now, just so we have some less things to worry about. And for me, I think right now it's, if I show it to, let's say, to a stranger who doesn't know design, and I'll show them that thing, they will probably not understand yet what it is. And that's fine, because we've only spent, I don't know what, like 5-10 minutes on it, and it's perfectly cool.
Yeah.
But in my head, like that's it. I see the whole thing. I know exactly what I'm doing. I can start like planning some other stuff. So maybe it's an aircraft carrier, and it will carry the alien spaceships, and it carries them. It launches them from the back rather than from the front.
It's like shits them out.
Almost like a fart.
Yeah. That's cool. So let's see. And I always check how it looks in the renderer, because this view here, it's very hard to understand. But this view here, like it's shaded, it's you can start thinking about it. Maybe that looks cool, maybe that doesn't look cool. And for example, now we can just quickly render this low-res book, and we can drop it into 2D, and we can start sort of working on it further. And instead of doing the whole thing, let's just do the bridge area, so I don't want to spend forever.
I see.
But I need
so
to
how long would you typically spend on a sketch then, if you were in a production setting?
On sketches, like as long as I can, as long as time allows. Like ideally, like at least a day. And maybe I could do like in terms of these guys, maybe I could do like, I don't know, like 20 of them a day, like at this level. So let's just duplicate this guy. Because what we can do now, we have one version, and I don't know, we can save this guy. Oh, dude, this looks, you know what this looks like? This looks like... What the Some weird nonsense. Let's do it this time. This looks like the dry dock where maybe they build the other ship.
So I'm quite curious, do you have any tips on maybe how you can fasten your process in 3D? For example, keeping like a kit bash library or anything like that?
Just work more in 3D. You'll get faster. Kit bash is not the secret. It's not a shortcut. You will not be able to probably kit bash this guy. Like you will kit bash what you have to kit bash. I would suggest just learn how to sort of work in 3D. Just do more 3D and you'll be fine.
But I mean, if we look at if we go back to the Drake, the vulture, right? There are a ton of details that will definitely take time to model, right? Do you keep a library of kit bash for those? Do you just model everything from scratch?
This thing, I did model everything, but it's fairly simple. But also because we didn't have that library for that ship at that point. And then once this ship is done, like the next ship can use parts from this manufacturer. For my personal work, yes. Actually, I think if I go back to the elevator, I think there is, like, let's say I'm working on this elevator, and whenever I do the project, Is it gonna crash? No. Whenever I do the project, I start making parts while I do the project, so you can already see it.
Right.
So just move these guys out. I already started making parts that I might use or I might not use on the elevator, like these massive rings for, I don't know what I'm gonna use them for, but I can already take this guy and I can start moving it into place.
So it's more like a specific library for that particular
No. I just designed these while I work on this project, and then I have another file from the other projects, and then I add these parts to the general file, and that way I grow my library. I don't sit down and purposely make libraries. I make them as I work on the project, and then I just add them to like a general directory, I guess. So like this guy could be reused on like something else.
I see.
Maybe it could be like.
I guess that also helps in establishing a consistent design language too, on top of efficiency.
It can, yes, or you can if you know how to manipulate stuff, you can make this ring look completely different for a different project. Because I think a lot of people, when they use Kit Bash, they just like put parts together, or like they stack them. But maybe we can extend this guy here now, and instead of like continue kit bashing, we will actually start working on it. So it doesn't become a kit bash anymore. It just becomes like a normal part of the project, and we start making it different. And that obviously takes extra time. That's why I don't like using the term kit bashing. I hate kit bashing. You don't kit bash, you design stuff. Doesn't matter what you use, you still design it. You don't just randomly intersect stuff, put stuff together. So I hope that makes sense.
It seems to me, man, that you have these little pet peeves, when it comes to hard surface design. So let's get into something a little bit spicier, and we'll ask you, what are some of like the common mistakes or like frustrations that you have with hard surface designs that you would like to dispel or like help people break free from?
To do this stuff efficiently, or well, maybe not. Maybe that's not good. Okay, let me preface. That's my opinion. Just saying.
Disclaimer.
Just so people don't go with forks at me. To do hard surface well, or design things well, you really have to first care about stuff. So for example, I don't really care about ultra realistic Naughty Dog style environments, and I'm not gonna do them really well. Can I do one? Probably I can put one together. Is it gonna be good? No, because I just don't care. So if you want to do hard surface, just don't. If you do anything for the sake of just doing it, it's very obvious that you don't know what you're doing, if it makes sense. Because there's a lot of portfolios where people have absolutely everything in their portfolio. They have characters, environments, vehicles, and I look at it and I'm like, so what are you about? Like, I don't understand. I look at your portfolio and I can't figure out what do you like, because everything is okay, but nothing is really, really good. So I would say just love what you do. It doesn't have to be hard surface specifically. And if you don't like it, let's say you want to get into hard surface, but you don't really know yet if you're gonna like it, or you even want to do it, which is fine. Just try it. Just do a bunch of projects. Sadly, there is not many actually good hard surface design tutorials. There was one that I learned from by Darren Bacon. He's a Free for Free Industries now. His tutorial is no longer available. You can't find it online. He deleted it. And that was
Oh, that's a shame.
that was the one that sort of I was lucky to watch, and that established a lot of the stuff that I do now. Also, oh no, there is one good one. Mike Hill's intrinsic vehicle design. I use a lot of those principles.
Oh, that's awesome.
But you really, to work at that level, I think you not necessarily have to be obsessed with this, but you need to have an interest in it. You need to be able to find relevant references, to find relevant, I don't know, resources. Mm-hmm. And to answer the original question, I see a lot of hard surface work, and most of it, I don't really have pet peeves with specifics. But if people do it for the sake of just doing it, to me it's super obvious, and maybe I don't like that. But then, I don't really care. It doesn't affect, my life.
I see. And I put a link to Mike Hill's Gumroad if any of you are interested in purchasing the tutorial for yourselves.
It's one of the
best
ones.
Or how about this? I'll have to check it out myself, man, for sure.
Yeah.
And how about this? Since this was a very hot topic yesterday, and some of you might have watched it. Well, I personally haven't. But I think you guys know what we're talking about. And that is Cybertruck. What's your thoughts on that, man?
So first, I think I personally don't like the design, but that's just because I don't like the design. So it doesn't mean it's bad. But it's very hard to, you can't go at this thing with you can't really hate on it, because Elon said they will do something different, right? Yes. So he wanted to do something different, and it's not my different, right? It's not how I would do stuff differently, and maybe it's not how majority of people or minority of people would do differently, but this is how he did it differently, because that's his company, that's his vision. Whether we like it or not, no one's forcing me to buy the truck. So I think in that regard, it's a big respect to him, because it is different. I don't like it, but I can't deny it. It's a different design. It's very different from all the other trucks. Aesthetically, I think it's not my thing, but it fits the 80s era of cyberpunk, sci-fi, which is cool. And so visually, I'm whatever. I don't care. I don't care that much. I'm not the audience. But what's more interesting about the truck to me is the way it was built. So in the press conference, he said the current trucks, you have the frame, and then you have the cabin and the back bed attached to it. And the way the Cybertruck built is a continuous framework, or what is he called it something else, but whatever. It's a one solid piece of body, which I imagine a lot of the construction companies, or if you're in the business of carrying stuff on a truck, this thing will be great. It's a probably very rugged, indestructible, modern electric truck that can carry stuff, and it's extremely durable. You can scratch it, you can drive it into construction site, you can maybe make a military variant out of it. I don't know. It just seems like a machine that is made for beating, if it makes sense. I might be wrong. I might be totally wrong. That's just my interpretation of that. So I think...
he was showing how durable, not durable, but how strong the body is compared to regular car bodies.
Yeah. And to me, that was the most interesting part, where I think their target audience is the people who will probably not care about aesthetics, because people who care about aesthetics, they will buy Tesla, Model S, Y, X, whatever else they make, or Roadster. But the truck, I think, and that's just my opinion, I think it's catered more towards people who just need practicality rather than aesthetic. And aesthetically, it is different. It's gonna turn necks on a street, right? It's if I see that thing on the street, I'll be like, yeah, that is not looking good.
I don't actually hate it. it's interestingly enough. I
It's
think there are certain things that I would change, but I don't like dislike it. Or
like I learned to not. I learned not to care about that stuff, or like if I care about it, it's cool. If I don't care, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't impact my life, at least for now. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll be forced to buy it. But I think
so
it's cool. Yeah, good job, Elon. Big G.
kind of curious, what would you change about the design to make it more like to your taste?
Let's just say you had a company called, Noax, and then
Nice. So don't know that.
Noax motors.
you were tasked to change the Cybertruck design.
Let me see. Let me open in Photoshop, right? Okay. Let's do this.
Yeah,
boy. There we go. And just to read some of the comments in the chat, Karta was actually here a while back. He said, "Sup guys, just saying hi from PRJ, not sure where that is. Still not done with packing up from an exhibition. A bummer that I wouldn't be able to enjoy live hardening of my surface." Well, I guess he's a big fan of your works.
Oh, thank you.
And Blessings of the Nine said, "The unbreakable windows though." And that's in relation to Cybertruck.
I am pretty sure the windows were a marketing stunt, but that's my tinfoil hat. It was a marketing. They needed something memeable. There's no way. No way. It was two windows on purpose. No, that was. I am pretty sure that was a marketing stunt.
They must have known.
Of course,
before presenting.
they just dropped a ball on another piece of glass. I'm pretty sure they tested everything, and it was just purely because you know how Elon is controversial on like Twitter and shit. So it's probably that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But that's my tinfoil hat on. So
I think that's quite viable. And
there we go.
And one more comment as well from AVR. Musk's is on more crack than the Windows.
Oh, nice. Sorry guys, just give me like 1 second. I'll grab it here. Just like 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna get spicy.
Yeah. You think it's gonna get spicy?
That was cool.
Oh.
You think it is, but it ain't.
So, I don't know, maybe it's my super low IQ, but I think nobody should overpaint this thing or change it, because then it will, like, the core of the idea of the Cybertruck was to make it different, like to make it different to anything else. So if I'm gonna start, like, I don't know, like adding stuff that makes more sense to it. Let me just quickly illustrate that. You see how it becomes quite normal? Like there is, like we start, like, let me round off the fenders, like, oh wow, it becomes like, what are you doing? It's a normal truck, like there's nothing special about it anymore. Why have you done this?
That's true, actually.
Like you see how it starts, like overpainting or making it better. It's pointless, because the point of the thing is not to be like anything else. So let me just do this overpaint quickly. Like I hate this back thing, Jesus.
Wait, so why are you making these changes? Just talk us through what's going on.
So right now we're approaching it. So I'm gonna do two overpaints. This overpaint is like, oh, let's make it better, as in let's make it like everything else, because that's how like humans know it. Let's go with the trends, and let's make it. Let's round stuff off, and like it starts looking pretty normal.
Wait, I just realized they don't have side view mirrors.
Yeah, it's probably cameras. It's definitely cameras.
Whoa.
Same with the back view. So I'm gonna add some floodlights just because that's what I like. If we go off-road, and let's add like a cargo bay, and maybe even like like this something more like now I'm pulling concept art stuff. So for example, this cover on the back bed, I'm making it dark just because it contrasts the rest of the body, right? Like I could make it the same color as the rest of the truck, but then Shank will come in and he'll be like, oh, the proportions, the colors. So
I'm surprised he hasn't popped up in the chat.
Oh yeah, if anybody wonders why I make jokes about Shang, is we're good friends and I worked with him for a while, so I can't. So like you see how like we can do like generic stuff and like add, oh, it needs a big bumper because every car has a freaking big bumper, right? So that would be one way to sort of overpaint it to make it fairly more traditional. I disagree with his wheel design completely. Like that's one thing where it's just it's I don't know, don't like it. And the other overpaint would be like, okay, they want something different, let's do this. We're gonna, because it's an off-road vehicle, it will need an extra wheel at the front, right? And just do it like this. Yeah. Nice. Nice. It's so it can climb. It's almost like a tank design, but no treads. Also, you probably want to see further when you go, so let's raise it up. Why not?
Dude, I think you can attach some flamethrowers on the cars.
No, but that's no, you can't do. Oh, you can do Elon's flamethrower.
You mean not?
No, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can do a roofing torch because it's a fucking roofing torch. Okay, so we have this. Like that starts looking extremely gimmicky and extremely bad. But that's it's. I mean, you can't argue. It is different. It is hands down different. Like you can say you cannot like it. You can say it looks absolutely horrible. But I'll just tell you that it looks. Dude, have you seen anything like that? You'll probably say no. And yes, that's the point. That is the Elon's point about his design.
There's definitely a design challenge as a whole though, because you want something to be different and unique that it becomes iconic. But at the same time, you don't want it to stray so far away that people just don't click with it.
I mean, I don't click with the original design, but I saw a lot of people who like it, so I think it's fine. I think it will sell, or it's a massive, very expensive joke. I don't know.
Maybe, man. Maybe. Who knows?
There's actually this guy used Van Kampen. Like he did a quick paint over of what he would like from the design. I thought it looks so much better.
Can you send it?
Yeah, I'll put it on both Discord and also the chat.
I'll read out some quick comments from the chat. Groove Salad 5 said, Noax, big fan, mate. When's the Blender tutorial?
Oh man. Oh wait. What?
People are holding you accountable.
I'm sorry, I don't use Blender. No, the tutorial.
First step is to put Blender in the bin and uninstall it, then install and buy Modo.
I will do a tutorial, but it's not gonna be in Blender. So yeah, I can actually sneak peek it if you guys want.
Ooh, that would be really cool, man.
But it's like it's so early. Just I'm not even thinking about it. There's like only one side view sketch of the thing. It's gonna be a garbage truck, I can tell you that. I'm gonna do some garbage trucks.
Yeah, that's dope.
For like,
Nice.
I don't know, that's all I've done for it, so that's it. There you go.
Looks like a little elephant, robot elephant, at the front pulling it. It's like a baby robot elephant.
Doesn't exist. That's gonna be a tutorial at some point, hopefully.
You heard it first here, guys.
Yeah, actually, you actually did.
Exclusive world
World
first.
premiere.
Dude, I started on this like last year, so it will take a while.
Right. Yeah, just maybe one more decade, you know. But just don't forget to put in the code, the Drawing Table Podcast, for a 10% discount.
Yeah, we'll do it. All the long-term viewers get it for free.
Yeah. So, dude, now that you are not working at CIG anymore and that you've decided to go freelance and independent, like, what's next for you? What are your plans going forward, and what can people expect from you?
I guess I'm doing more personal work now, which is very nice, which I haven't done for a while. So just I'm trying to make a lot of good high quality work that I can just post maybe next year. So that will be the first thing. Maybe like a tutorial or some other stuff that I don't want to spoil just yet. But generally, the best part of you know what it is. The best part about freelance, I guess, it's actually a lack of freelance sometimes, because you can just do your thing. You just need you just need to make sure that whatever you do is not like random stuff, but maybe, I don't know. Okay, you have, let's say, a month for free. Just make a tutorial. If you think you can't make a tutorial, you probably can. And if it fails, at least you'll have a piece of work out of it that you can put on portfolio. If it doesn't fail, you have like monetary income. So that's like monetizing your work. Very tactically. So
for sure, man.
You're making something you like, and you possibly can make money, possibly can help other people, and not waste that time.
I think that could be a good topic that we can touch on very briefly, is that, you know, how does one navigate or make that transition from studio work to freelance? Like, what can they do to promote themselves, or maybe increase their value so that people are more willing to work for them, or that they can become more visible?
I think, first of all, I think I'm the wrong person to ask if you I am not the most proactive advertiser of my stuff. And I guess like I think good work, like the good work will find the clients. For me, I work with people that I personally know, and that's my favorite. Like, I'd rather, if obviously it comes down to your financial situation. For me, I'm quite lucky in the position where I am now, where I can afford, let's say, few months of not doing work and just doing my own thing. But if you can be in that position, that's fantastic. Like, for me, that's the biggest win. That's a bigger win than, I don't know, landing a job at Blizzard or whatever the studio, right? Doing your own thing in your own time. That's the dream.
Oh yeah, dude.
So for me, that's it. That's the best part. So I'd rather do that than freelance to some company that I don't like. And at the same time, like right now, I'm working with Long on Call of Duty, and the reason why I do it is because I enjoy working with him. Like, the project, it's fine. Like, it's another game. Like, the games will come and go. It doesn't matter. But the people that you work with, like, I will go out of my way to help him out on a project, even if I'm busy, because like human connection is probably more important than shipping 20,000 titles or whatever, working on whatever the biggest game or the movie.
I see.
So, but if you're not in a position where you can afford that choice, then while you manage your time as best as you can to let's say if you do freelance, you try to do it not 16 hours a day, right? You do it like for as long as you need to, and then you make sure you work on either improving your portfolio so it's absolutely kick-ass, or you start like, I don't know, like you start something like a business again. Maybe you do tutorials, or like you start a Patreon, or you start a podcast. You start something that long term will bring you to the point where you can spend a few months of not doing anything, right? Rather than
definitely.
I wish we get money from this podcast, Jordan.
yeah, but that's well, maybe at some point your podcast will be huge, right? You don't know. It's a long-term game, because it's very easy to just sit now and be like, oh, it's not gonna work in like whatever 2 years, and you just spend your time either like doing something unproductive or doing something that you think is productive, but long-term it's quite like useless.
Yeah. And something that I've learned that's quite interesting is that it's important to pursue or do something that you have a long-term goal in. Let's just say that doing the podcast, we have the long-term goal of building a channel that's big enough that we reach out to a much wider audience and things like that. But that to us is not the most important thing. The reason why we actually decided to start this podcast is to develop the skills that would even help us beyond the podcast. So regardless of if we hit that goal of getting 10,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers or anything like that, it doesn't matter, because even, let's just say, after doing it for a couple of years, we plateau on the number of subscribers. One thing that cannot be taken away from us is the ability that we've developed in interviewing people, in asking questions, or perhaps articulating ourselves in front of an audience. And those are skills that can transcend beyond just the realm of podcasting.
Dude, yes, there's nothing to add. That's it. Like it's perfect. I mean, you don't have to make everything like a monetary goal, I guess. But at the same time, I'm trying to be very honest, where like if I do something, I probably want to make money off of it, because we live on the planet Earth and everything is based on that here. And I will try my best while I pursue, let's say, my monetary gains or whatever. I'll try to make sure I do it in like a healthy way, where I, let's say, help community, or I enjoy what I'm doing, or it's not like strictly like money. But I'm also not gonna deny that is part of the goal, because like,
of course,
that's how the world works. So if I could be in a position where I have everything without money and I can do my art, then I would just do like art or whatever I want and not worry about it. But we're not living on that planet yet.
It's too easy, man, to say that money's not important. And people that usually say that, I notice, are like celebrities that already have like millions of dollars.
Yeah, that point, yes.
Money is not the most important thing.
Because you have it.
Yeah, because but for those that don't, it's a reality that we have to, unfortunately, sacrifice some things that we really want to do just for the sake of our survival.
Yeah. And it's if you think about it, it's kind of sad that humanity is at that stage.
Yeah. But let's not get too political.
Let's not get too sad.
So I guess just to wrap things up, especially on this topic, before we move on to Q&A session. So if any of you in the chat have any questions for Noax, just leave them in the chat and we'll get right to it. But just to end on it, what are your long-term goals then, man? Where do you see yourself, let's just say, in a couple of years from now, or maybe your end goal for your career?
End goal for the career? Become immortal, if possible.
Okay.
No, I would like to be even like more independent, in terms of like, I want to get to the stage where I can do anything I want to do, without much trouble, or like have a stress-free life where you can, if you want to go on holiday, you go on holiday. If you don't want to work today, you don't have to work today. I don't know how to reach that goal, but ideally I think it's like this absolute freedom, like financial and like the rest, whatever freedom people get.
Gotta have money for that.
Yes, there you go. There you go. It goes back to that. I guess that would be the goal, and just to carry on like creating like stuff like improving skills, and that just goes without saying. Like I don't have to mention that. That should not even be.
Definitely.
Should not be. It's not a concern. It should be. It's not even should be a priority. You should do it like you brush your teeth. You should get better. That's it. Period.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing just what kind of new personal stuff you come up with, especially with the more of the free time that you have now.
Yeah, me too. I'm interested in that as well. I mean, like this ship is coming pretty. Actually, I'm into it. Like this.
Yeah, it's looking really awesome.
I'm liking it. It's quite different from your other stuff.
My eyes are pretty much fixed to the screen.
Yeah.
Just watching a model.
I have a feeling I'll need to finish it.
Well, if you do, man, that'll be fantastic, and we can also post it up on the drawing table.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, I'm kind of sorry. Before we move on to the Q&A session, I'm kind of curious. Like, what do you do to harden that edge since you're in subdivide modeling?
Oh yeah, I was wondering when somebody's gonna ask, because this is one thing I love in Model. Let me just create a cube and I'll show exactly how to do it. I use a shortcut, but so
yeah, the extra detail density though at the front really helps a lot.
Yeah. So let's subdivide this thing. So I use edge weight. So you select the edge, and I think it's a general shortcut. It's Shift W, and you will get this vertex map weight, and you just drag in your canvas. So it goes from 0 to 100. So 0 is the softest, 100 is the max. So if we set it to like 12, it will be harder. Let me just let me show you like the practical example of it. So let's say we have this guy. We can say, so we take the whole thing and Shift W. I don't know where it's in the menu, to be honest. It should be Shift W as a default. If not, just Google vertex map weight, because vertex map. I really don't know where it is. I've never used it from the menu. It's just Shift W. I just Google it. But anyway, let's make this like 100, and then these guys can be, let's say, 80 doesn't work. 40. Okay, there we go. You can make these transitions. It's not too pretty, but with enough geometry, it kind of works sometimes. You have to play with it.
That's nice.
It's a good tool to just add like variety, or just you can just create cool stuff. I don't know, like the way I used it on the ship, that's how I use it.
Yeah.
I would probably later remodel this part properly, because working with this is very hard. So there you go. I hope that helps. Again, it's
cool.
Vertex map weight.
Okay. That's awesome. And we actually have a couple of questions in the chat, so I'll read them out right now. So there's one question from...
So this is the Q&A session.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, so we have a question from Anix Sigde, and the question is it possible to land a studio job directly without any freelance or previous experience if the portfolio is decent enough, especially from Southeast Asia?
Yes.
You're looking at a guy
Yeah, I
who
did exactly.
just
That's
that.
exactly that's exactly how I started, and I think Sheng started in a similar way. Robin started in a similar way. It's majority of people who start like that. Yeah.
So would you say that that's like a myth in the industry, that you need to have all of this previous experience to land a big job?
Oh hell no! I think
at the very least, misconception perhaps.
I think all the myths and misconceptions in this industry are myths and misconceptions. That's what I think. There is only one that I can think of that is kind of not a myth and a bit misleading, is when people say like, oh, you don't need education to work in this industry. Yes, that's right, you don't need, but if you want to go US or to the country that requires visa, you're out of luck no matter how skilled you are. Unless you can get like a talent visa, which I don't think UK has that thing. I'm not sure. So that's just the only thing that I would say. Education does matter to governments, maybe not to the studios. But yes, you can get the studio job without prior experience.
Yeah. Earlier on I was actually gonna ask you how you started your education, because you're self-taught. So maybe we can quickly touch upon that, and then we'll move on to the next question. Is how did you approach your education and self-learning?
You just do stuff, man. What I try to do is I find the piece that I really like, or the work that I really like. I try to analyze what I like about that work, and then I apply to my design, and later on I'll show you how that's done. That's how I learn. So I take something, it's a Shadi Safadi approach. Take something that works and do it your way. It's like all the presentations, shaders, designs, everything has been done. You just need to make it your way. It's the fastest way. Or you can sit at home and try to invent your own unique super style, and maybe you will be successful, maybe not. I don't know, that's really up to you. I just copy if I can.
I think that critical eye is actually important, because I have a co-worker as well, and a really good friend of mine, and we had him on the podcast. So if you guys want to watch that, you can check our YouTube channel for the interview we had with TCK. And he's someone that also got into the industry and into Adam Hawk without any previous studio experience, and he was self-taught as well. And we asked him, how did he manage to get good at such a young age and into a studio such as Adam Hawk? And his answer was quite similar, is that, having that really critical eye in analyzing what works and applying it to your own.
I think in a way it also comes back to being curious about stuff.
Let me do like a super fast demo of how I do it, like exactly how I do it. I think this will help a lot of people excel, but it's only if you actually apply it. So this is your desk, right? Like you have a desk, and let's say if you don't have a desk, then you have bigger problems. Okay, maybe you can work on full. Like let's say you have two monitors. I'm gonna do example with two monitors, right? Because I have two monitors. That's how I work. So on this monitor you work. On this monitor you reference. And you do reference. You're not watching movies. You have reference, right? Let's say you start a new project and you're doing character, right? Let's do character. Sweet. You have some basic knowledge about how to do characters. You have your Photoshop open. Sweet. You have a general idea of what the character is. Let's say it's a fantasy mage male frog, right?
Yeah.
Let's do something
but
extreme.
Identifies as a female.
Yeah. So let's say we have like our idea. This is what we want to do, and we want to have a really good design for it. So we get our references. Like we have our frogs, right? We have like our frogs. This is the frog. we have like our mage references, right? We have like a dude references. So we have that stuff. The one thing that we're missing is, let's say we're still not too professional, or we're not really working in the industry yet, and we're trying to present our stuff really well. And we want it to look really good. We want that super nice finish. We want like this cool looking stuff, but with our design. So like our design is already established. We're not going to steal anybody's design. So let's say I'm doing that, and the next thing I will go to ArtStation, and I am going to try and find somebody who's done a similar thing to the highest possible level, right? So in my case, I already know what to pull up. I just need to find it. Where are the collections are?
You have a collections just full of like frog references, frog mages.
Right, there we go. So like, let's say we take this guy, and like this is really high level work, right? This is not a mage, this is not a frog, but it's a very high level work, really well presented. And again, you can argue with me whether it's good or not. I think it's good. That's what matters right now, because I'm doing the thing. I mean, like I'm designing the frog guy, so I need a good reference for myself. So we will take this not as a reference, right? But we're gonna put it on the second screen alongside all the references, and every time you look at the reference, you remind yourself that your target quality is this, right? You constantly remind yourself, this is the final result I want. The presentation, the execution level, the feel. You constantly trick your brain into thinking that this is what you need. And let me tell you, once you're gonna start working on your thing, probably you're not gonna hit this level, but you're gonna be very close, or at least one step closer than somebody who hasn't done that. It's like a mental thing that I found that helps me, where you just have one inspirational piece and you're like, this is the target quality, that's it, nothing less than that. And now it's very clear to you when you do your own thing. You already know, go back to the last. You already know how detailed you need to go. You already see the quality of the textures that you need to get. You don't have to imagine the quality or the finish. It's already done for you. You just need to translate it to your design. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it really helps in a way it sets a target goal for yourself, right? Because sometimes a lot of people feel like, oh, it's cheating to look at other finished designs as a reference, but I don't think it's cheating, because it's not really a direct reference, but it's more of a goal that you have to achieve.
Let me show you
with that piece.
Okay, so this was the tutorial for the mech that I was talking about from Darren, and I'm trying to find the full image.
That is such a nice design, though. I saw him do this sketch, I think.
Yeah, he's got the sketch. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's actually influenced my sketching style quite a bit, because I was referencing him a lot when I was doing a lot of line drawings.
Alright, I can't find the exact one, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So we take this guy. So when I was learning how to do all this stuff, I really loved his presentation. I loved how simple it is. There is no like fancy lighting. There is no crazy backgrounds. It's just like pure design. Here is a mech, and this is how I did it. So I could really relate to it. And after that, I did this guy, and this was done also for nothing but mech, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I took his presentation, I took his sort of the render level, and I applied it to my own design. Like it has 4 legs. You can say that I ripped it off, which is not true, but whatever. Like you see how that and this was the first time I really jumped in my quality. And after this piece, after this guy, this is like 3.5 years old now.
Oh, dude. I didn't know that.
Yeah. After that, like my quality just skyrocketed because I applied what I just told you guys. This is my secret. That's it. This is the secret.
There we go, boys. If you've waited till the end of the podcast, you've definitely made the right choice.
Yeah. All right.
You've been enlightened.
Yeah, we've got the secret sauce now. Now we're all gonna be out of jobs thanks to you, man.
That's it.
Yeah, man, I should have kept it to myself.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, hopefully that answers your question, Anik. Even though it definitely went on a little tangent.
Yeah, but I think it's a useful tangent.
And yes, fish is my dish. You did join in just at the best part, or the juiciest part. And one last question from Blessings of the Nine, and after that we'll just quickly close things off with an artwork of the week session and also quickfire session.
Yep.
Because it's actually been a little over 2 hours now.
Yeah.
If you would believe it.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
All right. So here's crazy, man. So Blessings of the Nine says, here's a question: how important are memes to your daily workflow? Nah, but seriously, what is your biggest motivation for art? Examples: what keeps you moving forward and giving you the motivation to push every piece to the next level, especially if it's on a project that's been dragging on for a while?
I just like high quality designs. That's it. Not only high quality design. Well, what is high quality design? That's arguable. But I personally like stuff that just looks finished, polished, resolved. Like that's why I like working hard surface. Hard surface requires you resolve stuff, and I like the same stuff in, let's say, presentation. I want it to be as high quality as possible because like I care about. It's the Apple thing where like Apple, the company Apple, they control they control every single aspect of how they present their work, right? There is no randomness. Everything is meticulously planned and controlled because they want a certain, they want people to see it the way they want to see it. And same with my work. I want people to get exactly what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and what quality they get. And what pushes and motivates me to do stuff, I really don't know. I just do it because I like it. It's like a thing. There is no motivation. I've been doing it all my life, and that's pretty much it.
I think it's something to do with the personality sort of thing, because there are really some people, for example, that enjoy the rendering of things. Like there's some people that would paint a character portrait and they're not necessarily redesigning, but they're just copying it, but they're doing it until their brush goes down to as small as like 1 pixel, and they're really trying to get it like hyper realistic, and they enjoy it. But to me, that's like one of the most boring things you can do. I don't think that's something that I care about. So this goes back to what you were saying earlier. I think the first thing is to care about something, and that care, I think, comes down to a lot of things like childhood influences, personality types, and all sorts of different things, you know?
Yeah, dude, yeah, because I really enjoy the process of me. I hate finishing work. Like I really don't like finishing work because once it's finished, I don't like it anymore. But I really enjoy the process of just creating. I don't care. Well, I care about the final result, but generally when I finish stuff, I instantly just like, oh man, this looks horrible. But the process, I think that's what brings me back to it. Like even now, designing this ship, it's a lot of fun. Like I really enjoy just working on it. And I don't need it to be done fast. I just like the whole process of creating.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. And I think that's definitely very desirable qualities in becoming not just a great hard surface designer, but also being a great designer in general. Because it's not something that can be done instantly, or if someone is looking for a quick fix of instant gratification.
I think a lot of people now, they're like very impatient with their work. Like there's a lot of work on ArtStation, and I don't want to speak like negative about people, for example, who paint sunsets, right? Like there's definitely a market for that. And the thing is, like, let's say you're making a beautiful sunset painting, and it's very striking, and it's very simple to do. You don't need to be like a genius. And I see more and more of that stuff. I see less and less people attempting like complicated things, right? And it's not only hard surface, it's characters. It's like when was the last time you saw a character design of a military guy with all of his gear fully resolved? Like somebody who went and designed the helmet, the vest, separate from the character and then put it onto the character. Like you never see that stuff. But let me tell you, that's something you have to do in a real production, and it takes a long time to do it, and you have to have patience. I think people don't have that patience anymore.
Yeah, man, definitely.
For sure.
I think that's good wisdom right there.
Yeah.
Word.
All right. And I think that wraps up the Q&A session. So let's move on to the artwork of the week segment. So this is the segment of the podcast where we show artwork that has left an impression on us throughout the week. And since Alex is the guest this time, we'll be asking him to show us some of the artwork that he finds to be inspirational.
All right. Do I pull it just from Discord?
Yeah. Just the JPEGs that I sent over to you.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm a bit unorganized. Oh man, why is it loading so slow?
But interestingly enough, I find that usually near the end of the podcast, when we're feeling a little bit more like relaxed and getting into the groove, that's usually like when most of the best and juicy bits come out.
Yeah, that's all. It's always like that. It's like when you go like with your friends for a night out. At the beginning, it's like and then by the end of it, everyone is just talking.
Yeah, I never want to go home.
All right. So
it's like getting drunk, man.
So one of the pieces is this guy. Is it okay if I show the whole project he did? Because that will make more sense.
Yeah, sure, man.
Sure.
So let's go. So this was done by my good friend and fellow Rust and PUBG player, Robin. We worked together at CIG. How we worked on different teams. I was on the hard surface concept design, hard surface. He was on the environment. And when he joined, he sort of picked up Modo from me, and I was helping him out. And he was working on this piece. With the idea was it's a cargo truck that just crashed into the desert. And then this little dude goes to check it out, whatever happened, a lot of cargo lost. But what I like about it, it's not necessarily the piece itself. Like the piece itself is fantastic, but seeing a person push his skills from zero to this in an extremely short amount of time, it was really, really inspiring because he built the whole thing intact. It's built in like parts, it's functional, and then he added extra touch by destroying it, figuring out the process of how do we make it like destroyed in 3D, how do we present it really well, how do we make multiple shots out of it. So for me, that's what I like about it. It's that determination to make something great. You spend a lot of time working on it, and I think a lot of people in that position would just give up, and they would like, oh, I don't want to figure that out. That's too much work. But he even modeled like this small truck, which is super cool. So determination, and the images itself, the final images are fantastic. So this now Robin is back at Guerrilla Games doing some awesome stuff. Really good guy. Yeah, go follow.
Awesome.
Yep. I posted a link to his art station on the chat.
Yeah, and also like taking on feedback, like just that was a lot of fun for me to observe and help him develop this stuff, because a lot of people don't care when they work. He really cared. He was like, we're gonna make it awesome, and it was awesome. So that's one.
That's awesome, man.
And then the other one is by Will Hung, who did some weapons. This is a concept for the Black Ops 4, and I like this for a different reason. I don't know how he works, or I don't know him personally, but through his work, or like if you open his portfolio, you can see like other examples of weapons. You can see understanding and love for guns. Not love for guns as like shooting them, but like design, like understanding how weapons work. I just want to clarify.
Yeah. Who knows, man? Maybe he does love it as well.
When I saw this, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like the materials are on point, the rendering, the lighting, the presentation, super inspiring. The design itself, maybe I'm like not 100% sure if I like it, but I really like the effort. Like I was saying before, a lot of people, they just want a quick fix. They do I don't know, like a random fusion gun that looks cool, but this looks like it's been thought out. This looks like it went through the process of design. Like I like the addition of this melee thing. So it's for close quarters combat. If you run out of ammo, you can grab the pin and you can just stab the guy. So a lot of attention to details, materials, functionality. It has swappable barrels. Overall, it's a very solid piece of hard surface. So that's what inspires me.
For sure.
Yeah. It's really cool to know your thought process about why you like a certain image.
Because like a lot of the guns I look at, I'm like, whatever. But there are few guys that design it, and you look at it, and you're like, oh, this guy really thought about it. Like he really cared. It's like it transcends sort of the artwork, I guess. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe I care too much.
No, I think that's true. Even his title is weapon specialist at Treyarch.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he knows his functions.
Yeah.
Of the gun functions and stuff really well.
So yeah.
That's, I think, something I find admirable as well. When someone is just so in love with a certain subject matter that they go through lengths just to find out more information about the subject matter and to know it so in depth as well.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
Awesome. And that wraps up the artwork of the week segment. So just to wrap things up, since it's been going on for quite a while now, let's move on to the final segment of the podcast so we can end on a lighthearted note, which is the quickfire session. So we'll be asking you 10 questions back to back, and your job is to answer them as fast as you can.
Okay. Can do.
All right.
Let's go.
Sounds good. All right, Ken, you can go first.
Actually, you should go first.
All right. Okay, first question. Favorite anime?
A Farewell to Arms, part of the short piece.
A what? Sorry?
A short piece, specifically the last part, A Farewell to Arms.
A farewell.
Farewell to Arms or Farewell to Weapons, one of those. I don't remember exactly. It's a hard surface form.
Okay, cool. And then next question. Favorite band?
Architects.
Good choice, man.
Yeah, you know.
Would you rather give up? Yeah. Would you rather give up bathing for a month or give up the internet for a month?
Bathing? Like going bath?
Showering.
Oh, well, I will never give up internet, so I'll give up anything but the internet.
I see.
All right, next one. Favorite piece of technology?
A phone.
Next question. Favorite artist or designer of all time?
Of all time? Like I don't know. There's too. I'm not answering that. There's too many. I can't pick one. Mike Hill would be Mike Hill.
Fantastic.
Good choice. All right. Favorite food?
Bibimbap, Korean bibimbap.
Awesome. Next question.
With the stone bowl or without?
Dude, stone bowl, of course.
Dolsat bibimbap.
Hell yeah.
Dolsat.
Okay. All right, next one. Would you rather Oh, what? Why is it more internet questions? Whatever, I'll ask it anyway.
I don't know.
Would
man.
you rather not have internet access for a month or not have money for a month?
Wait, if you don't have money for a month, that means you don't have money at all. So I in this case, I'd rather have no internet. In this is a strange question. I'd rather have no internet than no money at all.
I don't know why it's there.
Oh man, that is a sad question. Holy shit.
So depressing.
Would you rather be homeless or homeless with the internet? Alright, let's go.
Alright. 8th question. If you're not an artist, what would your dream career be?
A firefighter.
Interesting. Next question. Favorite country you've been to?
China.
China. Okay. Would you rather eat 100 sushi-sized steak or 1 steak-sized sushi?
100 sushi-sized steaks. A steak-sized sushi sounds disgusting.
Interesting answer.
That is a disgusting piece of meat.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
All right, and that wraps up the quick.
Sick of it.
I know. Good point, actually. All right, and that wraps up the quickfire session and the podcast, guys. So yeah, it's been an especially long one today, but honestly, like there's still so many things that I'd personally like to ask and cover as well.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll do second part.
For sure.
The return.
Yeah, man, that sounds good to me. But of course, we'd just like to thank you once again, man, for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it, and you sharing all of these really cool insights into your work, because I feel like there's a lot of things that I could take away from it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting, guys. That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Glad to hear that, man.
For sure. Yeah. We had a lot of fun, and also thank you so much for the people who joined us for this episode and for asking questions and engaging with us on the chat.
Yeah. I hope that was informative.
So, yep. And I'm gonna post the link to your profile on the chat so people can follow you on ArtStation and also Instagram.
Awesome.
Yes, just keep up to date with your work. And of course, guys, if you found this episode helpful or entertaining to you, please share it with someone else that you think would find it the same as well. It would really help us out. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook for updates on upcoming content, on YouTube to watch our previous episodes and including this episode, and of course on Twitch to catch future episodes live. And we also have a Facebook group for our community, which you can join through the link in the chat in the description of this video or in the chat which Ken will paste in right now.
Yep.
All right. Any
Awesome.
final words, Alex?
Damn, sounds like I'm about to die. Huh?
Any last words?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for inviting, and I hope it was not too ranty and informative somewhat to people. Yeah, it's good.
All right.
Cool. Awesome.
Sounds good to me. All right.
We'll see you guys on the next episode.
All right. Thanks again, everyone, and take care.
You guys.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you.